If I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I would use subtle psychological tactics to weaken autonomy and nurture dependency. My power would grow relentlessly. If I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I would promote an endless array of entertainment, social media, streaming services, and addictive games to keep people constantly engaged and distracted from deeper issues. I would steer people towards short-term pleasures. I would encourage the success of social media, spreading constant notifications, and fostering addiction with reassuring and disposable content. If I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I would leverage advertising and social media to instill feelings of inadequacy. By promoting unrealistic standards of beauty and success, I'd encourage people to seek validation from outside, priming them for influence. If I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I'd emphasize the individual over community. I'd weaken social ties, even within the same family or group. People would feel increasingly isolated and less likely to support one another, making it easier to manipulate them. If I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I'd generate distrust and misinformation, flooding information channels with conflicting narratives, fake news, and conspiracy theories. This would lead to skepticism and paranoia, leading people to doubt their own judgments and rely more on external guidance. I am Guido Brera, and you're listening to Black Box, The Hidden Side of Finance, a podcast by Cora Media, sponsored by Docebo. If I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I would flood the market with captivating content designed to keep people entertained and disengaged from critical thinking. I'd divert attention from the truth and push towards isolation and doubt. And more, if I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I would create an environment that values conformity over the individual. Social pressures and the fear of public shaming would encourage people to align with mainstream beliefs and behaviors, stifling creativity and independent thought, and therefore conflict. And if I were a demon attempting to conquer humanity, I would encourage passive acceptance. Technology would take the place of memory and act in people's place. Established protocols would dictate programs and take all decisions. Individual thinking would be discouraged, and progress would go forward on its own, following standard directions. All this would create a society which is not only subjugated, but thinks that it's actually free. After all, in the words of Charles Baudelaire, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. This frightening list of control tactics was generated by GPT-4 Turbo, the latest version of ChatGPT, in answering the query, what would a demon do if he wanted to conquer humanity without using violence? A terrifying scenario with more than a passing resemblance to certain forms of oppression from the 20th century. But perhaps something even more frightening is just on the horizon, because artificial intelligence may just take a very different direction. After all, we've all been primed to expect an apocalypse caused by AI, the famous rise of the machines. Our culture has always feared losing control of our creations and being forced into servitude. But right now, AI can't really do much more than write out flowery text or win a game of chess. It's just not smart enough. Which is why, at least for the near future, the real threat isn't that of a robot apocalypse, rather than something that the great Austrian Czech writer Franz Kafka warned us about back between 1914 and 1915 in his masterwork, The Trial. Here, we find a claustrophobic world of sullen and inactive public servants, towers of paperwork, and never-ending corridors. Indeed, the true predators to watch out for in the near future are the digital bureaucrats. A long time ago, before the invention of writing, property was determined on the basis of communal agreement. If something was said to belong to you, then it did. This limited the rights of individual ownership and was an obstacle to centralized control without documentation or a complex system of functionaries. It was impossible for the central government to know which land belonged to whom in faraway settlements and villages. The invention of writing changed all of this. From that moment forward, 5,000 years ago, bureaucracy started to take shape. The meaning of ownership changed as well, and human society would never be the same. The invention of writing gave birth to documentation. First, just simple clay tablets marked with wooden sticks. And with documentation came systems of archiving. From that moment forward, all property was written, certified, and archived. In turn, this system shaped a new form of relationship with authority, based on bureaucracy. New jobs were created, such as the state official, and with these jobs came complex systems of taxation and large centralized states. Bureaucracy expanded the reach of powerful governments and revolutionized the entire world. A few thousand years later, bureaucracy spread out across a galaxy of subsections. Like a maze with countless tiny rooms, each of which has the authority to stop or allow a procedure, to manage crucial information, to produce essential paperwork. And this maze is about to be colonized by AI. The banks will use AI to determine whether you can take out a mortgage. The companies will use it to decide whether they should give you a job. Artificial intelligence will infest each tiny room of the labyrinth and conclude whether you can go to college, where to place you in the waiting list for an operation, or even if you should go to jail, and for how long. Of course, there's the off chance that AI perfects bureaucracy and makes the world more balanced and efficient. It might raise the average level of education, justice, and healthcare. But in making projections about the future, we need to look at the past, and the track record of the use of algorithms in social media is hardly reassuring. Just a few years back, a human editorial staff would have determined which news was fit to print. This was a delicate process, and the ethical implications often fed public debate. Such an important and prestigious role could even lead to a career in politics. But the web giants of today have just decided to leave it all in the hands of algorithms, with the directive of increasing user screen time. And the results are clear to everyone. People spend more time scrolling social media and compulsively consuming videos. But to reach such a goal, the algorithms have infested the web with content that pulls on negative emotions such as hate and fear. After all, these are easy to take advantage of, they captivate and engage. And of course, they beget more hate and fear, leading to conspiracy theories and fake news. Human society has been riddled with bureaucracy for at least a century and a half. But the novelty is that AI has the chance to harness an enormous amount of power, now that those halls and rooms have gone online. The machines will have no reason to rise and conquer our world because they'll already have full control. To look forward, we really should look back 100 years and read Kafka's novel, The Trial. It was never meant to warn us about the future, and yet it does, in all its horror. Black Box is a Cora News podcast, produced by Cora Media and sponsored by Docebo. Written by Guido Brera with I Diavoli. Editorial supervision by Francesca Milano. Intro and sound design by Luca Micheli. Editing and post-production by Luca Micheli and Emanuele Moscatelli. Production organization by Alex Peverengo.